I was just saying I was coming into practice today with a little bit of a slump, feeling a little fatigued, tired from the day, and knowing what I was planning to practice today in the kind of next step in our series, which is sympathetic joy. And I was like, I don't know if I have the energy for all that right now, because that for me feels like a very kind of energetic practice. But then now I'm thinking, man, I can't think of a better thing to do when you kind of don't feel like you have your own thing to brighten you up. You can think of other people's joys and sweetnesses and wonders. Um, Also, I see a note in here about permanently adjusting the volume. Thank you. Very appreciated. And also, glasses courtesy of Peter. So we can all thank Peter for that. Makes the light softer on my eyes, and apparently it's a cool look for other people. So thanks, Peter. And thanks everyone for the compliments. The theme is not beach bumming happiness. However, if that floats your boat and makes you feel joy for my experience and my hairstyle currently, and the slightly torn up shirt that I'm wearing, then the theme actually is beach bum happiness. So let's dive into that. What is this sympathetic joy about? Um, this joy is just another way of us expressing our love and appreciation. And that all sounds kind of woo-woo and hippie and airy fairy, kind of like, my I look right now. So, I'm trying to fill my part here. But this is actually a way for us to break down the barriers that separate us from other people. And those barriers cause us so much pain. And sometimes we don't realize, sometimes we attribute what's causing us pain to all sorts of other things. And there certainly are physical, personal ailments, without a doubt. But when it starts to come to our own psychological kind of spinning and ruminating on things, whether it's even something that feels so personal as, nobody understands what I'm going through or what I'm going through is particularly bad. That might feel personal, but actually it's coming from a place of feeling isolated and alone and our own discomforts. And then there's a whole other range of, psychological spinning and pain and discomfort that we experience, which has to do with frustrations or sadnesses with other people. And there's a place for all of that. There's a place for us to have good psychological boundaries and barriers and to have expectations of our life and of the people in our life. And also, there's a great opportunity for us to learn how to take part in other people's happiness and other people's joy and share in it as if it were our own. And in so doing, we actually drop more of our own suffering than we realize. It's not like, oh, this is so nice. I'm celebrating something for somebody else, and it's some sort of martyrdom or like, I'm sacrificing to be the better person. Not about that. Actually, it's about breaking down our boundaries that make us feel like we're separate and coming back to we're all people. We all want to be happy. And I know what it feels like when my happiness gets achieved. And so I can have a pretty good guess of what it feels like when that person's happiness is also achieved. So that's what we're going for today. Um, there's all sorts of words for this, but the one that I'm most familiar with from the Buddhist tradition, from the Pali language, is mudita, which is often translated as sympathetic joy. So let's go for it. So you can get yourself comfortable. Maybe take some deep breaths, let the day out of your lungs. Make some movements, shake the day out of your body. Whatever helps you Drop the past and also drop the future and find yourself just here, sitting or laying down. You might soften your eyes, even closing them if you're comfortable. Notice what that's like to let your eyes be heavy and soft. Let that heaviness, that softness find the inside of your head, your scalp, your neck, your jaw. Let that heaviness and softness spread down throughout your body over the next few breaths, all the way to your fingertips, your toe tips. Relaxing from the core of your body to the surface. Just notice what your breath is doing now. Don't try to change it. It's telling you something, and you don't need to know exactly what it's telling you. Just listen to what your breath is saying. Notice if your breath feels labored or easeful, if it feels shallow or deep, if it feels satisfying or unsatisfying. And as you sit here, being with the experience of your breathing, especially whether it's satisfying or unsatisfying, your thoughts have certainly come to greet you. And so you might all also notice not any particular content of the thoughts, but whether they feel satisfying or unsatisfying. You might even wonder, what does that feel like? What does a satisfying thought feel like in my body from head to toe? I feel it in my throat or my heart or head. Does something happen in my hands or my belly? What happens to my breath when I have a satisfying thought versus an unsatisfying thought? Just gently poking around. You don't need to figure it all out at once. Not at all. Letting your breath be your companion, however satisfying or unsatisfying it is. Letting it be your traveling companion for the next 15 minutes. Call to mind the image of a type of person or creature who you find so innocent and you find so much joy in. This could be a baby, it could be a pet, it could be a little child, could even be a dear friend or other loved one who you feel is just truly clear, pure in their intention, joyous to be around. Notice the impact of your body and mind of just imagining them right in front of your face. Imagining them doing what they're doing, whatever their thing is, whatever their things are. And then imagine that they just received some wonderful news or got something they really wanted. Perhaps if it's a pet, this is mealtime or a treat. If it's a little kid, it's some present. If it's a dear friend or mentor, maybe it's something that they would be really happy about. Imagining what happens to their face and in their body when they get this thing that they want. And take stock of any subtle feeling of happiness around just witnessing them being happy. Could be subtle, or maybe it's not subtle at all. Maybe a dog wagging its tail, or the jumping up and down of a child. Maybe that ignites something for you. You won't always feel that sense of intensity and warmth, but that's what we're going to build on. Breathing that in to welcome it, breathing it out to let it settle and gently warm your body. In and out, just replaying this mental image of a dear friend or loved one getting something that they want or hearing good news. You might cycle through a few friends or loved ones like this, just breathing in and out this imagination, noticing the feeling in your body, encouraging. Cycling through a few more, feeling this rising sense of joy, of happiness, and seeing people that you love be happy. And when you feel it, be careful not to grasp onto it too tightly. It's kind of like a sort of bird or a butterfly. Just let this warmth and happiness land on your heart and on your mind, and let it stay there for as long as it likes, breathing gently to welcome it to stay. And now calling to mind somebody who perhaps you don't know very well, maybe you have a slight positive connotation of this person, slight good vibes from them, but it's not a close relationship by any stretch of the imagination. Imagining them in their element doing something that they do. Now imagining them receiving good news. Taking joy in their facial expression, their body language, and how relatable it is. You might notice things that you would do too if you were happy or received good news. You might call to mind a few other such circumstances following this pattern. You don't even need to know what the joy or happiness was caused by. Just imagining this person being happy and noticing in your heart, in your throat, in your head, in your breathing, what happens. Repeating this pattern now with somebody that you don't even know. You might imagine little details about them, things that you could never actually know. It's imagining parts of their story that would make them come to life. Maybe some good news that they got about a child or a niece or nephew or a family member, somebody that you really have encountered but don't feel so strongly about. Maybe it's a person in a shop that you went to. You Maybe it's the person who delivers your mail if you don't know them. Somebody else that you've interacted with only in passing. Just seeing them light up in a very human, understandable, relatable way. A way that you can feel in your own body as you imagine them feeling it. Now doing the same, conjuring up somebody that you don't really like. Let's be honest about the fact that there are people we don't really like. Doesn't mean that you hate them or wish them poorly or anything like that, but perhaps somebody who you struggle with. First, noticing what happens in your body and mind when you call this person to the forefront. Maybe there's some constriction. Maybe there's certain thoughts that come, certain judgments that you have, or sadnesses, or frustrations, or hurts. And recognizing those, allowing yourself to feel those. See also another side of this person's life, joys that they might have that you can relate to. Could be that they have a child or a niece or nephew that they love. Could be a certain kind of food that they love. You could even make it up that they love the same kind of food as you. Could be something else, a type of music or an activity. Imagining them enjoying this, being happy in this thing, especially a shared type of activity. Allow yourself imagining them being happy without fully dropping any frustration, allowing it to be there if it is still there. Celebrate this joy of theirs, understanding what it feels like. Take this into your body. Without words, just by doing this, you are wishing this person well. You're breaking down your own boundaries, which cause tension in the relationship, tension in yourself about the relationship. Perhaps imagining another difficult person in your life, same thing. Imagine shared joys, even while you also feel the hurts and the distrust and whatever other words you want to use. Leaning into what this person shares with you as a human being, which is their desire to be happy and their experience of happiness. And then letting all that go and just allowing yourself to stick with this feeling for a moment, this feeling of happiness. Allowing it to lighten your mind, give some energy to your body. Perhaps imagining with your breath, you're circulating it through your body, cleaning at a cellular level, taking a few more moments if there's a wish that comes to mind, or if you just want to sit in silence for a few moments and feel some afterglow. But taking a few moments. As you're ready, you can draw your practice to a close. Bring yourself back with some deeper breaths, yawns if you've got them in you. When you're ready, closing your practice and coming on back.